Good evening. Yeah. What's up, y'all? My content's for educational purposes only. Can't stress enough you guys do your own research. Praise my content in the areas you find, throw in the comments. None of us have been alive long enough to know all that transpired in the past, and none of us can live long enough to learn all there is to learn. All right. This is just a little runoff or an extension of yesterday. I ran out and got some additional documentation, to go a little deeper with what I read to y'all yesterday. Um, Again, I understand everybody don't, having dedicated enough time, attention, and/or energy into learning about law or anything that deals with law. So if at the least, man, if anything, man, you can just see if you hear anything in here that might benefit you or pique your interest. Other than that, man, this is basically for those that have a prerequisite understanding of the subject matter at hand. And this is dealing with the discharging of debt um, via the UCC. All right, this document I ran out and got, man, it's labeled, "You can discharge almost any debt with proper use of the UCC. Strwmaneus Homo, the straw man cometh." Okay. Um, Again, a lot of people, have their opinions about this type of subject matter and things that deal with what I just read as far as the title, So all that aside, man, I'm just gonna go ahead and get into the reading of it. So okay, it says you can discharge almost any debt with proper use of the UCC. You can discharge secured loans, credit card debt, student loans, auto loans, assessments, citations, debts, demands, fines, penalties, tax liens, and judgments. Debt discharged and accepted for value. That's a term you'll need to look up. Accepted for value is based on understanding how you've been misled and learning what to do about it. You just have to know how to do it. The history of how we were put into the commerce game. On April 5th, 1933, then President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, under executive order, issued April 5th, 1933, declared all persons are required to deliver on or before May 1st, 1933, all gold coin, gold bullion, and gold certificates now owned by them to a Federal Reserve Bank branch or agency, or to any member bank of the Federal Reserve System. James A. Farley, postmaster general at the time, required each postmaster in the county to post a copy of the executive order in a conspicuous place within each branch of the post office. On the bottom of the post was the following: criminal penalties for violation of executive order is a $10,000 fine or 10 years imprisonment or both, as provided in Section 9 of the order. Section 9 of the order reads as follows: Whosoever willfully violates any provisions of this executive order or of these regulations or of any rule, regulation, or license issued thereunder may be fined not more than 10,000, or if a natural person may be imprisoned for not more than 10 years, or both. And and any officer, director, or agency of any corporation who knowingly participates in any such violation may be punished by a like fine, imprisonment, or both. Note: stated within a written document received September 17, 1997, from the U.S. Department of Justice, Office of Legal Counsel, Office of the Deputy Assistant Attorney General, Richard L. Schiffen, in response to a Freedom of Information Act request was the following. States a fact that is frequently overlooked is the executive orders and proclamations of the president normally have no direct effect upon private persons or their property. Read that again. A fact that is frequently overlooked is that executive orders and proclamations of the president normally have no direct effect upon private persons or their property, and instead normally constitute only directives or instructions to officers or employees of the federal government. See, this is what I spoke about before. That W-2 they always require you to fill out. That makes you, if you were never prior to filling one out, an employee of the federal government, thus giving the federal government and the IRS the right to tax your wages, which is, by the way, your personal property, and it's not to be taxed. See, this is where the fraud comes in. All right. The exception is those cases in which the president is expressly authorized or required by laws enacted by the Congress. Not statutes and codes and regulations. Laws enacted by the Congress is to issue an executive order or proclamation dealing with the legal rights or obligations of members of the public, such as issuance of selective service regulations, establishment of boards to investigate certain labor disputes, and establishment of quotas or fees with respect to certain imports into this country. Okay. It seems rather obvious that President Franklin Delano Roosevelt was not expressly authorized or required to issue an executive order or proclamation demanding the public and private to relinquish their privately held gold. The order or proclamation issued by Roosevelt was an undisciplined act of treason. 2 months after the executive order on June 5, 1933, the Senate and House of Representatives, 73rd Congress, first session at 4:30 p.m. approved House Joint Resolution 192, a joint resolution to suspend the gold standard and abrogate the gold clause, joint resolution to assure uniform value to the coins and currencies of the United States. House Joint Resolution 192 states in part that every person contained in or made with respect to any obligation which purports to give the obligee a right to require payment in gold or a particular kind of coin or currency or in any amount of money in the United States measured thereby is declared to be against public policy, and no such provision shall be contained or made with respect to any obligation hereafter incurred. Every obligation heretofore or hereafter incurred, whether or not any such provision is contained therein or made with respect thereto, shall be discharged upon payment, dollar for dollar, in any such coin or currency which at the time of payment is legal tender for public and private debts. House Joint Resolution 192 goes on to state, as used in this resolution, the term obligation means an obligation, including every obligation of and to the United States, except in currency, payable in money of the United States, and the term coin or currency means coin or currency of the United States, including Federal Reserve notes and circulating notes of Federal Reserve banks and national banking associations. House Joint Resolution 192 superseded public law, that which passes as law today is only color of law. Read that again. I know I'm probably reading a little fast, but this is a few pages long. I'm trying to get through this. House Joint Resolution 192 superseded public law. And in parentheses, it says that which passes as law today is only color of law. Jot that down. Color of law is only a semblance of law, seemingly, not actual, de jure, constitutional law. All right. House Joint Resolution 192 superseded public law, replacing it with public policy. See? This eliminated our ability to pay our debts, allowing only for their discharge. Okay? When we use any commercial paper, checks, drafts, warrants, Federal Reserve notes, etc., and accept it as money, we simply pass the unpaid debt attached to the paper on to others by way of our purchases and transactions. This unpaid debt under public policy now carries a public liability for its collection. In other words, all debt is now public. Get on out of here. Get on out of here. I don't want people trying to get at. I ain't got no rap. The United States government, in order to provide necessary goods and services, created a commercial bond, i.e., a promissory note, by pledging the property, labor, life, and body of its citizens as payment for the debt, i.e., the bankruptcy. This commercial bond made chattel property out of every man, woman, and child in the United States. We became nothing more than human resources and collateral for the debt. This was without our knowledge and or our consent. How? It was done through the filing, registration of our birth certificates. The United States government, actually the elected and appointed administrators of government, took and still do to this day certified copies of all our birth certificates and placed them in the United States Department of Commerce as registered securities. Sound familiar? Stock market? Okay. Told you they all got a QSIP number. Tradable derivatives. All right. These securities, each of which carries an estimated $1 million value, have been and still are circulated around the world as collateral for loans. Entries on the asset side of the ledgers. Told you the government has two separate ledgers. Just like any other security, there's just one problem. We didn't authorize it. I said it in yesterday's video. The United States is a District of Columbia corporation. In Volume 20, Corpus Juris section, I got this Corpus Juris Secundum. I need to go get them and look this up. Matter of fact, yeah. Page 3. All right. We find that the United States government is a foreign corporation with respect to a state. C. NYRE Merriam 36 Northeast 505 1441 South 0. I don't know how to read this. I forget how to read this, but basically it's basically citing a case. See New York Reason, RE for short. It says Merriam 36 Northeast 505, then it has a space, 1441, then it has another space, S, capital S, period, another space, 0, period, then 1973, comma, 14, space with a capital L and a period, and ED, for addition, I'm assuming, 287. I forgot how to read that stuff, man. Anyway, it says, since a corporation is a fictitious person, I told you. See, this is why your name is in all capital letters, because they've created a corporate fiction, a corporate construct with the same name that looks like yours. And a corporation is a fictitious person. So that's how they communicate. That's how you know they addressing your corporate straw man as opposed to you, the living, breathing, sentient being, the matrix. All right? It cannot speak, see, touch, or smell, etc. It cannot by itself function in the real world. It needs a conduit, a transmitting utility, a liaison of some sort to connect the fictional person and fictional world in which it exists to the real world. Okay, goes on to say living people exist in the real world, not a fictional, virtual world, but government does exist in a fictional world. See, this is the catch. I'm going to start this all over and read it a little slower. All right? I need for y'all to pay attention and get this. Living people exist in a real world, not a fictional, virtual world, but government does exist in a fictional world and can only deal directly with other fictional or virtual persons, agencies, states, etc. In order for a fictional person to deal with real people, there must be a connection, a liaison, a go-between. This can be something as simple as a contract. When both persons, the real and the fictional, agree to the terms of the contract, there is a connection, intercourse, dealings. There is a communication, an exchange. There is business. But there is another way for fictional government to deal with real men and women through the use of a representative, a liaison, and the go-between. Who is this go-between? The liaison that connects fictional government to real men and women. It's a government-created shadow, a fiction man or woman with the same name as ours, aka, behold, the straw man. You know, I know I'm a little dramatic at times, man, but, shit's real, man, slavery at its best, you know. All right. This person was created by using our birth certificates as the manufacturer's certificate of origin, otherwise known as the MCO, and the state in which we were born as the port of entry. This gave fictional government a fictional person with whom to deal directly. This person is a straw man. Strwmaneus Homo. It's a Latin word meaning a man of straw, one of no substance, put forward as a bale of surety. This definition comes from Black's Law's Dictionary, 6th edition, page 1421. Following the definition of Strwmaneus Homo in Black's, we find the next word, straw man. A front, a third party who is put up in name only to take part in a transaction. Nominal party to a transaction. One who acts as an agent for another for the purposes of taking title to real property and executing whatever documents and instruments in the principal may direct. Persons who purchase property for another to conceal identity of real purchaser or to accomplish some purpose otherwise not allowed. Webster's Ninth New Collegiate Dictionary defines the term as straw man, a weak or imaginary opposition set up only to be easily confuted. A person set up to serve as a cover for a usually questionable transaction. The straw man can be summed up as an imaginary passive stand-in for the real participant. A front, a blind, a person regarded as a non-entity. The straw man is a shadow or go-between. For quite some time, a rather large number of people in this country have known that a man or a woman's name written in all caps or last name first does not identify real living people. Taking this one step further, the rules of grammar for the English language have no provisions for the abbreviation of people's names, i.e., initials are not to be used. As an example, John Adam Smith is correct. Anything else is not correct. Not Smith John Adam or Smith John A or J Smith or J A Smith or John Adam Smith in all caps or Smith John in all caps or any other variation. Nothing other than John Adam Smith identifies the real living man. All other appellations identify either a deceased man or a fictitious man, such as corporation or straw man. Over the years, government through its public school system has managed to pull the wool over our eyes and keep us ignorant of some very important facts, because all facts of the media, print, radio, television, have an ever-increasing influence in our lives. And because media is controlled with the issuance of licenses, etc., by the government and its agencies, we have slowly and systematically been led to believe that any form of appellation of our names is, in fact, still us, as long as the spelling is correct, and that's wrong. We were never told with full and open disclosure with our government officials what our government officials were planning to do and why. We were never told that government, i.e. the United States, was a corporation. Never told. A fictitious person. We were never told that government had a quietly, almost secretly created a shadow. We were never told that, let me read that again. That sound fucked up to me, so let me get it right. We were never told that government had quietly, almost secretly created a shadow, a straw man for each and every American, so that government could not only control the people, but also raise an almost unlimited amount of revenue so it could continue not just to exist, but to grow. Let me tell you what that just said, man, in case some of us don't know. That just means, man, that, as the longer we continue to support this system, the longer we continue to operate in a false existence, the longer we neglect taking care of our personal business, and taking back what's ours, the longer this bullshit that they doing to us is going to continue to go on. This is going from the military on down. I'm telling you, this whole shit can be dismantled. Real shit. But, it is what it is, man. Can't say a joke ain't tried. That's all I'm going to say. You know what I mean? You ain't going to be able to say nobody tried to pull your coattail. I'm going to go ahead and get on with the reading of it, man. It is what it is. All right. We were never told that when government deals with the straw man, it is not dealing with real living men and women. We were never told openly and clearly with full disclosure of all the facts that since June 5th, 1933, we have been unable to pay our debts. We were never told that we had been pledged, and our children, and their children, and their children, and on, as collateral, mere chattel, for the debt created by government officials who committed treason in doing so. We were never told that, and y'all talk this vote shit, man, kiss my ass. We were never told that they quietly and cleverly changed the rules, even the game itself, and that the world we perceive as real is in fact fictional, but real people dying. real people doing real years behind them bars. And ain't got a near soul standing up on the other side of the courtroom saying that he or she damaged me or my property. Man, I tell you. We were never told that they quietly and cleverly changed the rules, even the game itself, and that the world we perceive as real is in fact fictional, and it's all for their benefit. We were never told that the straw man, a fictional purpose, a creature of the state, is subject to all the codes, statutes, rules, regulations, ordinances, etc., decreed by government, but that we, the real man and woman, are not. Are not. We were never told that we were being treated as property, as slaves, albeit comfortably for some, while living in the land of the free, the so-called free, free my ass, and that we could easily walk away from the fraud. Trust me. Yeah, okay. Everything since June 1933 operates in commerce. I said that yesterday. It's all about commerce. Commerce is based on agreement or contract, i.e., consent. This is why I brought up I showed that book in one of them other videos, that contracts book. You gotta know what necessitates and what elements come into creating a legally binding contract. They violated all of them by doing the shit I'm reading to you now. Anyway. Commerce is based on agreement and on contract. Government has an implied agreement with the straw man, government's creation, and the straw man is subject to government rule, as we illustrated above. But when we, the real flesh and blood, man and woman, step into their process, we become the surety for the fictitious straw man. Reality and fiction are reversed. We then become liable for the debts, liabilities, and obligations of the straw man, relinquishing our real protected character as we stand up for the fictional straw man, so that we can once again place the straw man in the fictional world and ourselves in the real world with all our shields in place against fictional government. We must send a non-negotiable private chargeback and a non-negotiable bill of exchange to the United States Secretary of Treasury, along with a copy of our birth certificate, the evidence, the manufacturer's certificate of origin, of the straw man. By doing this, we discharge our portion of the public debt, releasing us, the real man or woman, from debts, liabilities, and obligations of the straw man. Those debts, liabilities, and obligations exist in the fictional commercial world of book entries, on computers, and in paper ledgers. This is a world of digits and notes, not of money and substance. Property of the real man once again becomes tax exempt and free from levy, as it must be in accord with HJR 192. Oh my goodness. Okay. Sending a non-negotiable chargeback and bill of exchange accesses our Treasury Direct Account, TDA. Hove was talking about that. I believe he said something about TDA in one of them, and on Reasonable Doubt somewhere. No, that was CB. Okay, he was talking about, okay, never mind. What is our Treasury Direct Account? According to one theorist, it's a pledge that was made for each birth certificate in the amount of $630,000, sound about right, Another pegs it at 1 million. Thus, everybody and everything in the United States is simply collateral for the bond issued by the United States government. This $1 million account is for the straw man, the fictional person with the name in all caps and or last name first. It is there for the purpose of making book entries to move figures, digits from one side of the ledger to the other. Without constant movement, a shark will die. And quite ironically, like the shark, there must also be constant movement in commerce, or it too will die. Figures, digits, and entries and ledgers must move from asset side to debit side and back again, or commerce dies. No movement, no commerce. I told y'all, man. I've said it before. You know, everybody, I see why. And this is a quick side note, man. Shout out to, Phil Valentine. I understand perfectly why. At this point, man, ain't no sense. It's almost like I'm wasting my time right now. Because some of y'all just love the government. Y'all love massa. So okay, I'm gonna finish this document, but this is it. I'm not coming on here no more with none of this type shit, man, because I got my own shit to deal with. Go on. Okay. All right. Where was that? Okay. The fictional person of government can only function in a fictional commercial world, one where there is no real money, only fictional funds. Why they killed Muammar Gaddafi again? I keep telling y'all, he was going to bring some real paper to the world. It would have bankrupted this bullshit ass system. That's why they killed him. The fictional person of government can only function in a fictional commercial world, one where there is no real money, only fictional funds, mere entries, figures, and digits. A presentment from fictional government, whether a traffic citation, criminal charges, is a negative commercial claim against the straw man. This claim takes place in the commercial fictional world of government. Digits move from one side of your straw man account to the other, or to a different account. This is today's commerce. Playing the commerce game. In the past, we have addressed these claims by fighting them in court with one legal process or another and failed, miserably, might I add. We have played the futile, legalistic dog and pony show. A very clever distraction while the commerce game played on. Okay. When in commerce, do as commerce does. Use the Uniform Commercial Code. Excuse me. The UCC-1 financing statement is the one contract in the world that cannot be broken, and it's the foundation of the accepted for value process. The power of this document is awesome. Since the Treasury Direct Account exists for the straw man, who until now has been controlled by government, we can gain control and ownership of the straw man by first activating the Treasury Direct Account and then filing a UCC-1 financing statement. This does two things for us. First, by activating the Treasury Direct Account, we gain limited control over the funds in the account. This allows us to also move entries, figures, and digits for our benefit. Secondly, by properly filing a UCC-1 financing statement, we can become the holder in due course of the straw man. This gives us virtual ownership of the government created entity. Remember, earlier we mentioned that a presentment from government or one of its agents or agencies was a negative commercial claim against the straw man. In the straw man's account, the Treasury Direct account, remember, we told you entries, figures, and digits move from one side of the account to the other or to a different account. Well, now, the straw man under our control, with the straw man under our control, government has no access to the Treasury Direct account. And they also lose their go-between, their liaison, their connection to the real living man and woman. From now on, when presented with a claim of presentment from the government, we will agree with it. This removes the controversy, and we will accept it for value. By doing this, we remove the negative claim against our account and become the holder in due course of the presentment. As holder in due course, you can require the sworn testimony of the presenter of the claim under penalty of perjury and request the account be properly adjusted. It is a commercial undertaking, and the basic procedure is not it's not complicated. Pardon me. Good God Almighty. Hey, man, listen. I just had an epiphany, man, and I can't share it with you. I can't tell you everything. I can't share everything because some people hate. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, man. Matter of fact, never mind. Let me get on with the reading. Let me get on with the reading. Okay. In fact, it is fairly simple. We just have to remember a few things like this is commerce and we play by the rules of commerce. When we accept the claim, become holder in due course, and challenge whether or not the presenter of the claim had or has a proper authority, the order to make the claim or debit our account in the first place. When they cannot produce the order, they never can, it was never issued, we request the account be properly adjusted and the claim is discharged and goes away. If they do not adjust the account, a request is made for the bookkeeping records showing where the funds in question were assigned. This is done by requesting the fiduciary tax estimate and the fiduciary tax return for this claim. Since the claim has been accepted for value and is prepaid, and our Treasury Direct account is exempt from levy, the request for the fiduciary tax estimate and fiduciary tax return is valid because the information is necessary in determining who is delinquent and or making claims on the account. If there is no record of the fiduciary tax estimate and the fiduciary tax return, we then request the individual tax estimates and individual tax returns to determine if there is any delinquency. If we receive no favorable response for the above request, we will then file a currency report on the amount claimed assessed against our account and begin the commercial process that will force them to either do what's required or lose everything they own except for the clothing they are wearing at the time. I might tell a motherfucker, get naked. Take my shit off, pussy. Yeah. Let me see. This is the power of contracts, i.e. commerce, and it should be mentioned at least this one time, that a contract overrides the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and any other document other than another contract. We should also mention that no process of law or color of law under present codes, statutes, rules, regulations, ordinances, etc., can operate upon you. No agent and or agency of government, including courts, can gain jurisdiction over you without your consent. And God damn it, I ain't giving it to you. We are not within their fictional commercial venue. The acceptance of value process, however, gives us the liability to deal with them. No, the ability to deal with them through the use of our transmitting utility. I'm trying to read too fast. / go between the straw man and hold them accountable in their own commercial world for any actions they attempt to take against us. Y'all better make it. Yeah, it's about to go down, Jack. Facts. Without a proper order, hold on. Okay, without a proper order, and now we know. Was that page 8? Let me make sure. Yeah. Okay. It just didn't sound right. Okay, the acceptance of value process, however, gives us the ability to deal with them through the use of our transmitting utility / go between the straw man and hold them accountable in their own commercial world for any actions they attempt to take against us without a proper order. And now we know they're not in possession of such a document, they must leave us alone or pay the consequences. Yes, this process is powerful, and one had better learn it well should one choose to utilize it. That is a strong disclaimer. I said it in the last video. Do your own research, man. That means you gotta forego getting them $200 sneaks and all that bullshit, the things that we fuck money up on, because I think a little bit of all of us fuck money up. Let's be honest with ourselves. You know what I mean? We fuck money up, and, right now is a time when, for yourself. Don't do it. You won't be helping me. You can only help your motherfucking self. So what I'm going to tell you is this, man. Do with this information what you will, man. Set aside spending, unnecessary money for a minute. Go get you the few books that you need in order to research this information further. Gain a proper understanding of it. Commit what's necessary to be committed to your memory. File the proper documentation. And grab your motherfucking nuts. For the men. And for the women, come up out of this bullshit, man, where you assisting them in fucking up the family structure. Because at the end of the day, man, either a man gonna be a man or he not, man. We all as men and women gotta make better decisions, man, who we lay down and fuck with. Simple and plain, man. And when you make a mistake, once you realize you've made a mistake, deal with your shit. Deal with your shit. If you gotta raise that child on your own, so the fuck be it. Because I'm gonna tell you something, the karma that's gonna come back on the other parent is gonna be a hellified bill to pay. So anyway, man, it goes on to say this. Can it be used to make money? No. Sign drafts? No. Bills of exchange? No. Yes, it can set us free from governmental oppression and control. To be unencumbered. That's my whole thing. If I ain't fucking with you, leave me the fuck alone, man. Because I promise you, This is what I want, man. This is my whole thing, man. I'm telling you, man. So trust and believe me, man. I'm gonna do exactly what I advised y'all to do, man. Good thing for me is I'm pretty much already situated. You know, um, and for anybody that is taking this video seriously, I'm gonna turn you on to another uh, lecture that will break the process down further. Again, Dr. Phil Valentine, Status Correction and Knowing the Law. That's the name of the video. He goes through the whole shit for you, and it's not as easy as listening to what he's saying, going and doing it. No, you have to research. You have to write down the shit that the man is saying, extract those documents for your personal files, and get your read on, get your comprehension on, get your memorization on, and then get your execution on. Y'all be easy, man.